Just kidding. Hi, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Back in my normal voice today, and what have we got for you? Well, we have a puzzle by the Miracle Man, Mitchell Lee, who of course created the Miracle Sudoku, which has been viewed about 1 million times, I believe, now, and he's come up with this thermometer-themed Sudoku, which looks absolutely epic, and I'm looking forward to trying it. We're going to do it in Pemper software today because we have to assemble the thermometers ourselves. Now, what else have I got to tell you? I've got 2 or 3 things I wanted to mention. On Patreon at the moment, for those of you who support the channel, obviously Mark and I are massively grateful for the support we get on Patreon. And we've put a bonus solve up there. It's my solve of Elliot Grant's recent Philomeno puzzle from gmpuzzles.com. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful logic problem, so do check that out. It's the UK Sudoku Championships this coming weekend, and that's got some great puzzles in it too, I'd imagine, because the constructors are Tom Collier and Sam Kappelman-Lyons, and if you're familiar with the channel, you've been with us for a while, you will certainly recognise those 2 names. What else did I... Oh, yeah. Look, watch this. We now have our own Wikipedia page. I mean, this is the stuff of dreams for us. We can't believe it. I hope it doesn't get taken down anytime soon. But somebody has put this up. It's got lots of references in it. And yeah, we're absolutely delighted to see it. So thank you to whoever made that. What else do I want to say? I want to give a shout out actually to our Discord channel. We have now something like 2,400 people on our Discord channel, and it is, I mean, it's a thriving community. I mean, I'm not sure whether I'm right in saying this, but I think I might be. I think it must be the largest community of puzzlers, active community of puzzlers in the world. So if you are interested in Sudoku theory, puzzle theory, if you want to share puzzles, if you want to get hints for puzzles, you must check out the Discord channel, because there are a lot of very, very, very clever people on it all the time. And in fact, Mitchell is one of them. I hope I'm not giving away any secrets by saying his Discord handle is trivial171, and he's very often to be found over there. So if you want to try this puzzle and then commend him on how brilliant it is, then that's where you should head over to. I'll put a link under the video, obviously, for those of you who aren't yet on it. With that, let me tell you the rules of this puzzle. So this is how he starts. He says, "Oh no, I accidentally dropped my Thermo Sudoku on the floor and all the thermometers fell out. Can you help me put the puzzle back together?" And what we have to do is to place a digit into each cell of the grid. In addition, place the 8 thermometers into the grid. The thermometers must be placed into the grid in their original orientation. They may not be rotated or reflected. The thermometers may not overlap each other. However, they may overlap the given digits in the grid, of which there are only 3. Normal Thermo Sudoku rules apply. So that means that normal Sudoku rules apply, and along thermometer shapes, wherever we put them, numbers have got to increase from the bulb end. So the bulb end, let's imagine this bulb contained a 2. That would mean this cell would have to be higher than a 2. It doesn't need to be a 3, it could be a 4, and you could have a 6 here, etc. You basically just have to go upwards as we move along thermometers. Now, Mitchell's email where he sent this in said that there is a way of drawing thermometers in this software. I think you click Special. Yeah, and then you can see it's already on Thermo, and then apparently we can drag and... Yeah, we can drag and drop. You just drag, click and hold and drag the mouse, and it draws thermometers in the grid. And if you want to delete them, apparently you click the bulb end and it works. Anything else I should tell you about the Pemper software? Let me see. You can shade in cells by clicking Surface. You can click, you can make cells different colours, and number is how you enter a thing. Now, if you're playing on a mobile, you may have to turn something called the panel on, which is an option at the top. Apart from that, that's all I know. Do have a go at the puzzle. I mean, obviously he's one of the world's best constructors, absolutely. So it should be a brilliant, brilliant solve. And with that, let's get cracking. Now, I mean, I'm guessing here, but I imagine the first challenge must be to figure out how these 5 massive thermometers go into the grid. Given we can't change their orientation, they're just going to be a string of, of thermometer in 5 different columns, because we can't obviously put a thermometer of length 7. We can't put 2 of those in the same column, given that they can't overlap. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to draw some thermometers in, just so that I can get my head around what these things are meant to be, what I'm meant to be appreciating about what 5 vertical thermometers. All the bulbs are at the top. What is it that I'm meant to be appreciating about this? Of course, this doesn't have to be the arrangement of the thermometers. I'm just guessing at an arrangement of thermometers to see what I can see. I mean, I'm not seeing much at all here. The only thing I'm seeing is that the middle 5 rows are all used on the thermometers. So just to show you what I mean there, if I can shade in, if we look along these thermometers, and we don't know, again, whether this is the correct arrangement, it would be quite remarkable if it is, but you can see that wherever I put the thermometer, whether the bulb is right at the top of the grid or in this position, it has to be the bulb has to be in either row 1, row 2 or row 3. Otherwise there isn't enough room to put a 7-cell thermometer in a column. And wherever you put that bulb, the central 5 rows of the grid are always on the thermometer. So we always end up, whichever columns contain thermometers, the rows 3 through 7 in those columns are always on the thermometer, and they are always increasing down the grid. Now, look at that. Right, so now let's think about something. Let's imagine that we tried to put a 6 into this square on the thermometer. So in one of these columns where there was a thermometer, we tried to put a 6 into the row 3 position. Does that ever work? Oh, this is unbelievable. It doesn't work. You go 7, 8, 9, and then this square would have no value. Now what does this tell us? Oh my goodness me. Well, if this has to be a number less than 6, there is a quintuple, a virtual quintuple in the grid, because this square has got to be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. This square has to be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. All of these blue squares have to be less than 6. So in the 5 columns where the thermometers go, there is a quintuple on the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Well, that must continue. That must continue. So this square here, it's exactly the same, isn't it? Exactly the same logic. As we move down the thermometer, this square can't be a 7, and it obviously can't be a 1. If it's a 7, 8, 9 broken, if it's a 1, it's in the middle of the thermometer, because this cell has to be lower than it. So as we move down the thermometer, we keep getting quintuples. Oh man. I wish I could type this better, but I don't know how to do that in this software. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the... Oh my goodness me. I am going to just, if you don't mind, I'm just going to fill all of these in because I want to stare at it for a second and see what it's telling me. And I'll find that easier to do if I've got it all labelled up. So let's do that, see what we can see. So I can now tell you for a fact that the thermometers I've drawn in the grid are absolutely wrong. The logic is correct, but these are definitely not the correct positions of the thermometers. Now, why do I know that? Well, it's because I know one of these cells, as this is a quintuple, one of these cells contains a 1. So let's imagine it's this one. If this has a 1 in it, then we know for sure that this square here has to be greater than a 1. Actually, what's the right way of explaining this? But this has to increase linearly. This has to increase linearly because otherwise I'm going to run out of room. Now I have to just think. To me that seems obvious, but I'm having difficulty explaining why that is true. I think the best way of doing it is just to pick digits along here. Let's just pick. We know that this is a quintuple, so we know that it looks like this. Okay, so now if we have a look along here, have a look along the next line. We've got a quintuple that one of which needs to be a 2. Well, which one can it be? It can only be the one associated with the 1. So this has to be the 2. This has to then be the 3, etc. So you can see what's going to happen here is this thermometer is going to always have to take the lowest digit. So this has to be 3, this has to be 4, this has to be 5. Now this one has to take the next lowest digit. So this is going to be a 4, 5, 6 triple. This is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now why does this matter? Well, this thermometer, the one that has a 2 in this position, always has a 4 in this position. Now there is only one 4 in the finished solution in row 5 of the grid, and therefore it has to be, this thermometer here has to be here. It has to overlap with this 4. This thermometer, which has to have a 5 here, has to in fact shift this way. And I'm tempted almost to start the puzzle again because I now understand a lot more about what I have to do. Can I start it again? I suppose I think I can just do that, can't I? Is that gonna... Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to start... Actually, I'm not going to draw thermometers. I'm just going to shade them because I don't actually know, if we think about it, although I might know that this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know if the bulb is here or the bulb is here. And if this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the bulb could actually be at the very top of the grid. All I know is that the blue squares are definitely on thermometers, and they're definitely an increasing sequence. So let's go here. In fact, I like that central thing. That seems to be the best one for pencil marking. So this becomes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one becomes 4, 5, 7 and 8. Spacebar deletes whatever you've got in the cell, by the way, if you are playing this and wondering what the tricks of penput are. Now, so this is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? So we've now got a start, and we know that there is a 1 in somewhere along here, and that's going to have a 1 to 6 string going down the grid, and there is a 5 as well in one of these positions. Now hang on, let's have a look at this, because if this is the 1 here, we know it has to do that, and that's going to clash with the 3. So the 1 is not in either of those two positions. And it's not here, because if the 1 is here, we get a 4 clashing in the middle box. So the 1 has to be in one of those 2 squares. That is forced. Now I'm going to have to switch to something like that to show that. So there's a 1 in one of these 2 squares, therefore there's a 2 in one of these 2 squares, and so on and so forth. These form normal pencil marks, which I'm sure I could do using one of these options, but have to bear with me. Now, can we do the same with the 5? Yeah, we can do the same with the 5. If this is a 5 in this square has to be a 6. Oops. And you can see that breaks immediately. Oh, I've lost my pencil marks now. Let's put those back. So there's no 5 in either of these 2 squares. If there's a 5 here, 6, 7... Oh, that just breaks immediately then. 5, 6, because the 6 is repeated. So the 5 doesn't go there. So we get the same thing over this side. The 5s have to be arranged like this. So in one of these 2 squares, we have a thermometer going down the grid. But the problem now is that we don't actually know, especially for like this, well, this thermometer couldn't be, you know, it can't, oh, it definitely can't do that, but it can't do that, for example, because there aren't 2 numbers greater than an 8, but this thermometer is actually completely flexible. It can do that, it can do this, or it could do that. So I don't think there's anything more we can. I might be missing something, but I don't think there's anything more we can do without placing another of these thermometers into the grid. So we've got 3 to choose from. My eyes are drawn to these 2 because these almost have a different parity to the ones in the ones in the grid are ascending down the grid. These are ascending up the grid. So we're more likely, I think, to find a clash. Now hang on, let me just draw, let's look at this middle one. If that, oh, why wouldn't it let me do it? Like, if that does this, that's a problem. That's a problem for this column because I can't put a 9 in it. Because don't forget, as soon as I determine the position of this thermometer, the blue thermometer now becomes forced. I mean, actually, I can't put a 0 on this thermometer either. So this is just wrong. This does not go. Yeah, this just does not go. The bulb of this thermometer, this one here, does not live under another thermometer, because if it does, you can't put a 9 in the column. So, now actually, look, it can't also go to the left. It can't put the bulb to the left of one of the blue lines, because that then causes an overlap on the thermometer. So this thermometer doesn't go in this square, it doesn't go in this square, it doesn't go here, 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 here. It doesn't go here, because then it would have to go off the grid. So it can only go in one of 2 positions. So let's have a look. Can it go here? No, that just breaks this thermometer, because now, in order not to have overlapping thermometers, you have to draw a thermometer that does that. But this thermometer is broken for 2 reasons. Firstly, you can't start with a 1 halfway along the thermometer. Secondly, you can't put a 9 in the column. So this does not work. I think that has to be the only position for this thermometer. And that is going to work, because that gives me a 9 in the column, in column 1. Oh, come on. So now we've got, so this has, that has to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All of these haven't got digits in anymore. We don't. Well, no, we don't know how this continues. We know obviously it contains digits less than 5. But this thermometer has a well, it doesn't have a problem, but there's something we can tell about it, because 1, 2, 3, 4, this square has to be 4 or greater. But it also can't be 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. That square is a 4. Therefore that's a 3, that's a 2, that's a 1. Now we're going to be able to finish column 1 of the grid, because we've got to place 3 and 4 there on the thermometer. This square, that square's a 9, because it's got to be greater than 4, but it can't be 5, 6, 7 or 8. Oh my goodness me, what an idea this puzzle is. Oh no, I was thinking the 9 was forced up here, but it's not, is it? This could be the 9, and then that could be a 7 and an 8. Oh, that has to be a 5 by Sudoku. That's because of this 5 here. These two squares have got to be 1 and 2. Oh, why does it do that? I'll have to switch to that notation. I think that's why. So there's definitely a 1 up here. In fact, this is a 1-9 pair, look. And these squares are 6, 7 and 8, so let's put that in. And this must be a 7, 8 pair. Now we've got 2s pencil marked over there, so actually that one is resolvable. That's a 1, that's a 2. Okay, I don't know what... So we're sort of back where we were again now. So let's try another of these thermometers. Yeah, this one is interesting because of this position on it. This is the 4th cell along this little thermometer. So how do we put this anywhere? This bulb can't go anywhere at the bottom of the grid, because then the cell that reaches up into row 7 of the grid has to be 4 or greater, and it can't be. Remember that we can't put it here, for example. If I try and put it here, you might say, we could put a 5. No, we can't, because what this is delineating here is the other thermometer, which is going to have to do that. In fact, you can see that again, that breaks this column completely, because there's now nowhere to put a 1 in this thermometer that's valid. So this bulb thing here doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't go in row 9 of the grid. It can't go in row 8 either, because, for example, this position rules out both of the thermometers, or both possible thermometers that could exist in column 8 and column 9. We know there must be 1. So I think this has to go at the top of the grid. Well, it can't go here, because that thermometer is broken with the 1 and the 9. So can it go here? No, it can't go here, because now this column 5, would have to have a thermometer that did this. And now I can't put a 1 in this column. So this isn't right. That doesn't go here. This is the same. If I try and put it here, I have to create a thermometer that does that, and this breaks column 7. I can't put a 1 in it. So I think that has to be the thermometer, which means there has to be a thermometer here And now I can put a 1 in column 8 because this can be a 1, and indeed that looks very nice with my if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is exactly what we're looking for. And this is almost symmetrical, look, because this square operates a bit like that square. Because now this square can't be a 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, so it's got to be 6 or greater, but anything greater breaks that square. 7, 8, 9, broken. This square has to be a 6, therefore there's a 7, 8, 9. Oh, 7, oh dear, 8, 9, triple at the top. That fixes this one. This is now a 9, this is a 1. Now hang on, how do I know that that thermometer is doing that? Is that what I did when I created that thermometer? I don't think that is a thermometer necessarily. Trying to remember why I think that that is the bulb of the thermometer, because I haven't even got these ones yet. No, I think I just did that when I messed about with the proving that this arrangement there wasn't a correct thermometer, and I drew that one in and didn't take it out again. Now, look at column 3. I now know this can't be the bulb of the thermometer, but I know this 2 is on a thermometer, so this thermometer is drawable, which delineates the 7 and the 8 at the bottom. That's a 7, that's an 8. 7, 8 pair here means that's a 6. So this becomes a 7, 8 pair. Now we can fill in the bottom of this thermometer because it's got to be 6 and 7, and it's got to be increasing as we go down the grid. These squares have got, that's got to be a 1 by Sudoku. There's an 8 and a 9 in the row. So this is an 8, 9, this is an 8, 9. This is a, oh no, that's not a 1 by Sudoku, that's mis-scanning by me. This is a 1 by Sudoku though, because of these ones interacting. So in this column, that's perfect, because this 1 blocks off this thermometer. Now we know the blue squares are on a thermometer, so I can place this thermometer as well. So now this has to be a 2, 3 pair at the top of the grid, and you can see, as it's got to increase, it's got to do that. Therefore that square's a 9. What a puzzle! That's a 4 by Sudoku. 2, 3, 2, 3. This square should be fillable with a 5. Now, we've still got this one to place. So this one mustn't hit another thermometer. So it's actually hardly anywhere it can go, look. Let me just stare at this for a second, sorry. In fact, if we look at this column, I should have spotted this before, but look, that square, this square here, is a naked single. It can't be a 1, 2 or a 9, and it can't be a 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7. That square's an 8. That means that's an 8, and that's a 7. 4, 6 into these two squares. Don't know the order yet. 2, 9. This square's a 2. There's a 1, 9 in the row. So now I've got to put 1... yeah, okay. So now I've got to put 1 and 9 into these two squares in column 5. But I've got to do it in a way that allows me to build a 7-cell thermometer. Well, there's only one way that can possibly work. It's got to go like that. This square has to be the 1. Oh, well, that worked quite well, actually. I don't know quite how, but yeah, that is exactly what I wanted to write in. And I've still not used this thermometer. Now this thermometer, it could in theory have gone, let me try and draw it. It could in theory have gone here, but that's just nonsense because it starts with an 8 and then goes down to a 4 or a 6, so that can't be right. So the only way of drawing this thermometer in the grid, it can't start with a 9, look, that would break. So this, I think, has to be the only position for this thermometer. 6. And this can't be a 6, because if it is, that square, this square here would have to be 7, 8 or 9, and it can be none of them. This square is a 4, this is the 6. This square has to be 5 or 6 now, that's possible unfortunately. This square has to be 7 or... this square has to be higher than 5, but less than 9. So that square has to be a 7. That's got to be an 8 or a 9. That gives an 8, 9 pair in this row. That square's got to be a 7. Oh, there's a 6 here. I didn't see that, sorry. That's got to be a 5. These squares have got to be 9 and 2. And I think we are on the home straight. This 2 fixes the... Oh, goodness me. That's mistyping. 2, 3 there. 4, 6 to complete. Yeah, that's doable. We can place the 4 and the 6. 5, 8 across here. Yes, that's doable. That fixes the... fixes the 9 here. The way that this software interacts with double clicking on the number is odd. 1 and 8, please be okay. Yes, I can place the 8 and the 1. These have got to be 2 and 3. That looks like it's working. Now in this box you can see I need to place 1 and 3. There's no check function, but this looks like it's worked. What a puzzle that is. Let me just stare at it for a second and see whether or not I think I've obeyed the instructions. It looks good. It looks good and it's a logical masterpiece. I love that. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me solve it. I didn't do any whispering today really. And we'll be back later on with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.